My name is Grace. I'm Christian, conservative, pro-life, and straight. I support the death penalty. I think climate change is an overrated issue. And I think we should have the right to bear arms. At least, that's what I used to think. One ALA student told me that his peers struggle to have conversations about religion because each individual firmly believes their own faith is the right one. Many students at ALA fear being labeled as homophobic because their religious views don't align with LGBTQ ideologies. And Africa Queered, it's a discrete group. We fear being labeled and stereotyped when we are met with opposition in our own ideas and beliefs. We hold our worldviews close to our heart, so when we meet someone who opposes those ideas, we feel threatened. You see, when someone tells you to prove your perspective, it's the equivalent of saying your belief isn't enough on its own. Brené Brown explains why we feel shame and how we can rise from it. She explains that we fear being stereotyped and labeled, and when we have conversations, we don't want to offend someone else. And also, we don't speak up because we are afraid of being judged. Now, let me introduce you to John Stuart Mill. Mill's On Liberty argues for a society that values freedom above all else. He explains that in order to guarantee progress for society, we must also guarantee freedom of thought, freedom of speech, and freedom of action. You see, if everyone has the liberty to do as they would like, as long as they're not harming the interests of others, then some will make great decisions. Others will see that and copy them. And some will make poor decisions. Others will see that and act differently from them. Thus, the positive behaviors will move forward past the negative ones. Now, a society that only believes in one worldview or practice may advance sooner, but it will ultimately plateau because it lacks diversity and innovation. For example, take ancient Greece. Ancient Greece is the birthplace of democracy, valuing free inquiry. But the fall of the Roman Empire was due to increasing autocracy and decreasing liberties. Now, we can take Mill's philosophy and apply it to individuals, not just on the societal level. For instance, as individuals, we should celebrate diversity, even when it causes ideological contradictions. Why is that? Well, it's because worldviews are like shoes. You see, I'm a size 9 in the United States, roughly a 6.5 in South Africa. I can fit into a shoe size slightly above or below that 6.5, and my feet might even grow over time, or they could shrink, maybe. But I can't fit into a size 3 or a 13. Some shoes fit me and others don't. And it's the same with ideas. Some ideas or worldviews fit me and others don't. And it's the same for you, whether it be religion, political standing, or an opinion on another matter. But in order to accept Mill's ideas about diversity and tolerance, we must consider the tensions between truth and value. Truth is what's right. It's the reality of an idea. The value is why a person believes an idea. It's what value that idea brings to the person's life. Now, I used to be solely on the truth side. I didn't care why other people believed what they believed. I only cared that people believed what I knew to be right. I grew up in a homeschooled, conservative Christian household. My mom put a lot of effort into establishing a firm biblical worldview in me. And then I entered high school. I was confronted with a hurricane of ideas. At 14 years old, suddenly, even my curriculums changed. Biology wasn't about creation, but about macroevolution. And homosexuality wasn't a sin, but an academic discussion in psychology and neuroscience. I didn't take it well. I was very poor. I aggressively would ask people to prove their point of view, and I thought I was doing others a favor when I pushed my own ideas onto them. Can you guess what happened? My relationships fell apart. They shattered, and it was all my fault because I was so desperate to be right. During that time, I started to quiet myself. I started to think more and ask questions. And in reflection, that was one of the best things I could do, because I started to listen. I started to ask people more about their experiences and less about proving a perspective. And the more experiences I heard, the less and less truth became vital. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that my relationships are more important than pushing my worldview onto others. I realized that diversity is important, but opposition is diversity. And diversity, as a necessity for life, so is opposition. And so, I stand before you today as a person who seeks opposition or diversity with open arms. I get excited when I meet someone with a different perspective than me or a different opinion, and I don't ask them to prove their point of view, but I ask them what value it brings to their life. I went to the mosque for the first time last week, and I'm going again tomorrow, and I'm participating in Ramadan. Meanwhile, I'm also exploring Youths for Christ through their evening women's prayers. I accept opposition, and I accept diversity. Now, I ask you to consider this today. Will you place value over truth? Will you decide that it is what is correct that is the most important, sacrificing the people and the peace in your life? Or will you consider the value that people hold behind what they believe? And before you answer that question, I would like you to consider, if I can't fit into every shoe, I certainly can't fit into every worldview. And it's the same for the people on your left and on your right. So, the next time someone tells you that they're Jewish, Christian, gay, pro-life, anti-vax, I want you to stop and listen. I want you to ask them why they believe what they believe, what value it brings to their life. Don't angrily tell them to prove the existence of God, call them homophobic, or give them every reason why climate change doesn't exist. No, instead, empathize with them. Learn from their experiences, and it's okay if you don't agree with them, but I urge you to empathize and step into those shoes just for a moment to understand, because at the end of the day, worldviews are like shoes, and it is shoes that help us walk in life, just like worldviews. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Grace. I'm bisexual. I'm an ambassador for mental health awareness and an advocate for the consistent life ethic. And I'm a passionate explorer of religions and ideas. Thank you.